welcome to a new VOD review. I am UnknownAnomaly, also known as Anion on Twitch, and this time it's Mad Lions vs G2, which is a really interesting game. I think Mad Lions, after this upset, can be considered at least contenders for the title, contenders for semi-finals, and the top end of the European League of Legends. This game was really interesting as it showed a lot of weaknesses and strength of both teams, as did the Fnatic vs Mad Lions game I covered before. And I really hope that you enjoy the VOD review I'm gonna do here. Thank you. So let's talk as always about the draft. Here we have Mad Lions that ban Gragas, Syndra and Kiana. Gragas, it's a good AP jungler, has a good gank setup and a great ulti, so scales well into the late game and can be like put inside of a lot of different compositions, so in general a strong pick. Syndra is a flex pick between mid and bot. Generally is banned on red side because it's really good rotation 2 and 3 on blue side, but here they ban it out of respect for G2, as both perks and caps can play Syndra at a really high level, so it's mostly a respect ban. And third, it's Kiana. It's a decent D mid, but that's a respect ban too, as perks is really good at a champion. G2 on the other side ban Rakan, Soraka and Ornn, which are all decent red side bans. Rakan is a great support, is the best part about the Xayah combo, so while Rakan can be picked on his own, Xayah you almost never pick her without Rakan. So by taking out Rakan, they're saying that they probably didn't want to play Rakan and pick Xayah Rakan on 2-3, and probably are even saying that they don't think Kazi wants to pick Aphelios because they're not banning Aphelios, which is the best ADC right now in the game. Then there is Soraka, which is the strongest, one of the strongest champions in the game right now, which can be flexed in 4 positions, which are top, mid, and the bot lane. Bot in both ADC, not really ADC, but carry and support. And last, it's Ornn, which is another really good pick and a great first pick on blue side, because it can be flexed to in top, jungle and mid. Mostly played in top and mid, but still it can be flexed jungle in some matchups. Then there is the pick phase. Mad first pick LeBlanc, which is an interesting pick. I don't like it personally because LeBlanc can be countered, but the further we go now, I think that we are seeing that LeBlanc still is a stable pick, can be blinded, which is what they're doing here. They're probably first picking it because they might be afraid that G2 might listen LeBlanc on 1-2 on red side, which is right now the strongest 2v2. And so they first pick it, as they know Humanoid is really comfortable on it, and they want this in the arsenal. Then they pick G2 picks Misfortune, which is interesting. I think they should have picked Aphelios here, as he's stronger than Misfortune and does not need a setup made for Misfortune. But on the other side, Caps entered really hard last week on Aphelios, so maybe they don't want that, I don't know. And then they pick Aatrox, which is not great because they have to blind top, and Aatrox is a fine blind top, but they have both the set and Gangplank open, which I would think that are stronger picks right now, and but they don't pick them because maybe they just want more comfort for Wunder, which is a really good Aatrox player. Let's not deny that, but Aatrox cannot side lane that well, and now has been weakened quite a bit, and after against Set and Gangplank, Set after he gets his first part of the Thornmail, I don't remember the name of the item, and against Gangplank when he gets his Executioner calling, he loses the lane. So I don't know why he chose this, but maybe it's just for comfort mostly. Matt then picked Listen, which is mostly because Shadow really likes the pick, and it works really well with the LeBlanc, because LeBlanc can set up the gank very well, and they can kill really easily most other mid laners. And then they pick Set, which is a strong, one of the other strong top laners right now in the meta, has more or less a 50-50 lane with the Aatrox, can lose early in the lane, but normally gets back in the mid-late game, and is generally a stronger pick in team fights, or they aim at different things in a team fight. Set wants to flank and engage in and destroy everyone with his E and his W and attract all the damage on him, while Aatrox wants to ult inside of a fight, and but it has to be a long fight, because if he heals back up he's really strong, but if he does not he can be really squishy and die very quickly. G2 here take Sejuani, which was still open. Is a decent pick in the jungle. They see Listen, so they know that the other team cannot play Trundle to counter the Sejuani. She's both a tank and an engage, and she works very well with Aatrox, as Aatrox is a melee champion, and they can proc the Sejuani passive really quickly. If they wanted Sejuani, they could have still taken Set, which is even better, because he can auto-attack with his right punch and his left punch, use Q and reset the auto attack and proc the passive by Sejuani like immediately, so it's really strong. But they still went with this. I don't agree mostly, but it's not horrible. And Sejuani is great with Misfortune, as she can engage and stop people in area, slow them, and set up very well with Misfortune ulti. Then there is the second ban phase, which is by Mad Lions. They ban Diana and Trash. Diana, I'm not sure if they have something from Scrims that I don't know. She's a good AP mid laner, and right now G2 will pick AP because they don't have it neither in top nor jungle. But I don't think she's that good against LeBlanc. Maybe it's a coin flip, a skill matchup, so they don't want to. And then they ban Trash, because support is still hidden, and Trash is really good with Misfortune, as he can save her. She has no dashes, and he has Lantern, and in general Mickey is really good on Trash, and his Lantern can save G2 from the place they normally do, really, so too far ahead, and he can save them. So in general, banning Trash is a good idea against G2, as the Trash lets them play more forward. And on the G2 side, they ban Ezreal and Aphelios, which are both ADC bans. They just want to cut the ADC pool here. They don't want to let Ezreal, Yuumi, because Ezreal, Yuumi are both open still, and Aphelios is still open and is the best ADC in the game. G2 now here pick Sylas, which is interesting because it's a skill matchup with LeBlanc. He has decent laning phase, but what we have seen right now from Sylas is, even though he has this good laning phase, he has to W on LeBlanc when she goes in to heal back from the damage she can deal to him. So normally how LeBlanc wins a lane is by poking the enemy and making him back, or setting up a gank with E and then kill him. But thanks to Sylas, he has a dash with his E and his W. He can hit LeBlanc when she jumps in and heal back, so he stays more or less at the same level of health level of the LeBlanc, and has decent wave push with his passive. The problem is that he's now, from the changes they've done to him, he's good in the late game because he scales very well, but most of his damage comes from hitting his chains, his chains on E with his W, and the second explosion of his Q. So it's a really strange pick. It can work very well in some cases, but I think here you should have picked Lissandra because it's a more stable pick, known counter to LeBlanc, and by taking out LeBlanc, from what they've seen of the Mad Lions draft, if they can just take her out, most of their damage is gone. So I think they should have went with something less carry oriented, but more team oriented. And Mad Lions here take Kalista Taric, which is a great duo in the bot. They needed the engage here, and now they have it from the Kalista ult. All this team fight, this is a pick based comp from Mad Lions, and Kalista and Taric really want to team fight, so I'm not 100% in it, but it's still probably one of the only choices they had left from ADCs. The Ashe was still open, they could have gone Varus Tamkanch, but Kalista is fine here, she's not that bad, and Taric is a good support right now, and his ult is really good in teamfights, so it's not the end of the world. G2 here take Nautilus, which is comfort for Mickey, and it has good synergy with Misfortune. I'm not 100%, I don't 100% agree on this pick because they already had the engage, so they didn't need the engage on the support. They already had the Sejuani, and they could have went with something more to counter Kalista Taric in the lane. Maybe something like a mage, I don't know. So in the end, the comps are from Mad Lions: Set top, Lee Sin jungle, LeBlanc mid, Kalista ADC and Taric support, while G2 have Aatrox top, Sejuani jungle, Sylas mid, Misfortune ADC and Nautilus support. The weak condition for Mad Lions is that they have a more early mid game comp. They don't scale horribly, but not as good as G2. They need to get LeBlanc and Kalista ahead and to stand a chance in the late game. And when the mid-late game arrives, they need to make picks with Lee Sin and LeBlanc. And if there is a team fight, they need to start it, because if G2 start the team fight on their terms, they're gonna get destroyed completely. So they need to start it with Kalista ult and Taric ult, and try to kill all of them, if all of G2, if they get them very well, and kill Misfortune or Sylas, as they are the biggest damage dealer inside of G2. G2 instead have a good scaling comp. The lanes just need not to bleed too much. They have to control the game and not like get Mad Lions get too far ahead. When mid-late game comes, they have to start team fighting on their own terms, as I said. Misfortune needs to be behind all of the front line and get a good ulti on the enemies. They must have vision on LeBlanc and mostly kill Kalista, and because when they have vision on LeBlanc they can track her, but Kalista still is a good team fighter, so if they just kill Kalista and have vision on LeBlanc, they should be completely fine and have no problem at all in this game. We are 2 minutes 36 seconds in, and this is the first clip that I want to show you. So after a more or less standard start with Aatrox giving a leash to Sejuani in the top lane, and Mad bot giving leash to Lee Sin on the red side, on the red buff, now everything is more or less normal. So both teams know where the other jungle started, so they know more or less what it's gonna do in the first minutes of the game. What's interesting here is because they started on opposite sides, we know that they probably Lee Sin wants to gank level 3 and Sejuani can gank and might want to gank level 3, depends. Or you can see different patterns on how you want to play her. There is in one game of the LCK Tarzan, the jungler of Griffin did a full clear on Sejuani Instead, you can see here that Jankos decides to do 3 double buff and Gromp to get level 3, and then it's gonna walk towards the bot lane to gank. So now there is gonna be a gank in the top lane by Shadow, by Lee Sin, and a gank in the bot lane by Sejuani. So before we're gonna see the ganks themselves, I want to talk a bit about the ganks. So here, Lee Sin has to gank because he's an early mid-game jungler. The only thing he can offer in the late game are insects, so he can kick the enemy, someone from the enemy team inside of his team and try to kill them, especially the backline. So that's what Lee Sin has to offer in the late game, but when he's the strongest is during the early mid game. So he wants to get advantage for his team. Inside Sejuani, what wants to do here, so there are 2 things that I think what Sejuani should do in a game like this, in a general sense, is try to counter jungle the enemy Lee Sin, so track him and not let him go put his team forward in the gold score. But what instead Jankos decides to do is ignore the fact that Lee Sin is gonna go top, because they of course know that he's gonna go top. Orome right now is stacking a wave and he wants to crash it under the tower, and when the wave is gonna crash under the tower, that's when Lee Sin is gonna come. And instead Jankos decides to walk bot and get advantage for his team in the bot lane, because the 2 carries of Mad Lions that are the strongest in the mid game are Kalista and LeBlanc, and this way he can make Kalista be useless in the late game if they keep doing this and if his team is ahead. So what he does here is, you can see Kai'Sa put a ward inside of his Tribush, and LeBlanc put a ward in the river. So they think that Jankos is probably gonna come from there if he wants to gank, but instead he walks from the lane, from the bot, and walks into a bush there when the wave is far enough that he can enter there without being seen. Mickey played wave until now, always playing around the bushes, so he knows that if he walks in one here, they probably won't think that there is Jankos around, and Caps does not play too much forward, he just wants to get some farm and maybe some trading, but not that much. And all here Kazi is waiting for is his wave to move forward, and you can see he moves with his wave because he doesn't want to be hidden by Mickey Q, so the dredge line. But he does not realize that Jankos is there. Mickey just walks forward, tries to flash on him. I think the animation for the auto attack had started, so he maybe cancelled it, but still, they get flash on Kazi, and they can kill Kai'Sa because Kai'Sa doesn't flash before. So they get first blood in the bot lane, thanks to a well-played gank, and because Mad kinda fucked up their escape. Kai'Sa should have flashed immediately. But remember, now that they have flashed and Caps still has flash, it means that G2 bot lane can play a bit more forward, while Mad bot lane has to play back, because if they're ganked or if they do a bad trade, they are dead. And now instead we can see the top lane. So here, as I said before, this is a good idea by Shadow, because in general, if they kill Wonder, that's great. He misses all this farm and he misses all the experience he gets from this farm. And you can see that Orome right now is almost 10 CS up and is 1 level up. So it's really good by Shadow here. They want to kill Wonder to let him miss everything there. So they start the gank, but Orome misses EC. You can see here. So he misses EC. Shadow uses his Q. He follows it immediately, which is not great because you want to use the second part of the Q after on Lee Sin. It didn't need to go near him because it already was. And because the second part of the Q is an execute, deals more damage the more missing health the enemy has. But they do so, and he now doubles W, Mad, Orome, and he misses his W because he flashed forward instead of flashing on Wonder to hit the W. So while the idea is good, they fuck up a lot the execution here, and they cannot kill Wunder, and Wunder still gets most of the farm, not all of it, but still most of the farm, and is completely fine. So the only thing I would change here apart from the execution is this thing here, which I did not like, because here Orome chose to flash forward. He could still follow Wunder flash and probably hit him, which is, I think, the biggest error. I think Orome should have traded 1-for-1 here, and if he did, even though it would be still a 1-for-1, so in gold, in the gold they got from the kills, it would be even. Wunder would lose all these minions, so all the experience from these minions, all the gold from these minions, or at least a bit, and he had to TP immediately to catch the wave and not get too much damage on the tower. Instead of Orome, if he died here, he could just buy whatever he wanted and walk back in lane, because he had more minions taken. He would have a better buy than Wunder, so he probably would win after, and would be completely fine. So I think here Orome should have traded 1-for-1, but still would be ahead thanks to how the minion wave was during all this. But apart from that, they're both interesting. They're both good ganks. I think they're both good ganks. I think a normal team here, if it was in G2 shoes, they probably would have sent Sejuani top to match this gank. But apart from that, it was the gank in the bot lane worked, and what the gank in the bot lane did too is that here, if Orome flash killed Wunder, it would get first blood, so even if he traded, it would get more blood than Wunder, more gold than Wunder. Instead, thanks to the fact that G2 already got first blood, the trade here would be even. So maybe that's why they didn't want to trade kill for kill. I don't know, but it's still an interesting play by G2 and a good play by Mad Lions, ruined by bad execution. Of course, there would be no game without an 8-minute Herald swap. So Mad Lions bot lane managed to push and swap first. As you can see, Kazi is already in the top lane, while Caps is still in the bot lane. And so... Fuck. Okay, I didn't want to leave the volume on. So you can see now that all of Mad Lions are rushing towards the Rift Herald, because they know that Caps was still bot lane until a second ago, so they have priority on it, and they can start it, while G2 cannot start it still. Even though G2 is 700 ahead, the comp, Mad comp, works better at this point in the game, so it's fine for them to fight here. So G2, while they were waiting for Caps, they send 3 people on under Mad Lions, so it's support, top and mid here, and they send Yankos on the other side, so they can stop Mad in their place while Caps is still coming. But Yankos does not realize that there is vision there, so they jump on him, and here you can see Kaiser misses his ult. So it misses Kazi ult, Kalista ult. It's a really good sidestep by Yankos, but still that should not miss. But yeah, so here you can see that thanks to the fact that they caught out Yankos has to burn flash, Wunder here has to burn ulti, and they have, in the next fight, they have no ulti in general, G2, while Mad still have LeBlanc ulti, and I think, yeah, Lee Sin ulti, no, Lee Sin ults here for no reason at all. And they have set ulti though, so they have more health and they have ulti advantage. So this is good, but by Mad Lions, and G2 here decide that they probably cannot take Herald, so they go contest mid wave, as they will maybe try to trade the 2 plates for the Herald and all the gold from the minions that Mad lose and the experience. And so Mad to catch this wave and not let G2 take the advantage here, they send Humanoid to catch it, but it walks on a ward. Mickey sees him, attacks him, and so he has to flash, ult, and it's a miracle that he walks away alive, even because Wunder flashed to try to stun block him, but he missed. So in the end, he was lucky that Jankos had ult before and everything, but he deserved to die here because he took the really greedy route because he knew the ward was there. So, and now G2 are in a 5v4, so they can contest this Herald, and you can see here that the eye is open. So the eye comes if the Rift Herald has more than 15% of his life. At this level, he should have around 8,000 health, so he needs to have around 1,000 health. If he has more than 1,000 health, he gets the eye, and the eye deals 12% of his full health, so it's around 800. So Caps just waits a bit. Here what Med want to do is rend with the Kazi, with the Kalista, and then Shadow just smites the Rift Herald, because you can see Jankos does not even have smite, so they should win this. But because Caps uses his Q on the eye, it deals 1000 damage to the Rift Herald and steals it, which is really funny. It should never happened. They should have just walked towards top lane with the Herald, and so they bring it with them. Maybe put Rome on the other side because he's the only one who cannot be destroyed by G2, even if grabbed, and because he still has both ult and flash, and have him to just hit the eye and kill it. So yeah, there are 3 errors, execution errors in this play by Mad. The ulti by Kazi that Kaiser was meant to hit, Humanoid root, and this juggling of the Rift Herald. So while all the ideas were good, the execution still is missing, which is the same thing that you saw from the gank in the top lane in the last clip. So here, the only thing I'm gonna say about the execution, what players might do: Humanoid there, if you want to catch the wave in the mid lane, he could have went with a normal route, not there where he knew that the ward was. He could have just walked behind all things. He still had W open, so he could just use that. Or go top lane, prepare a wave for a possible Rift Herald there, and maybe force G2 to come and catch top lane, because here what Mad Lions could do is take Rift Herald, go top lane, if the Humanoid just to set up the wave was gonna crash when they came there, and take 3 plates and destroy it with the Rift Herald, and then reset, send the bot lane bot and top lane top, which is completely fine. Okay, so this is the trade after the Rift Herald, so it's 1 minute after both teams have reset, and now Mad do what most teams do here after the Rift Herald, they swap back bot, because in 2 minutes Dragons is coming up, so they want to have control of bot, put wards there to control for Drake, and in general go back to the bot lane, send the top back to the top lane, maybe send Rift Herald either mid or top, take maybe the first tower, and then play around Drake after that. But G2 here has other plans in mind. After the reset, they keep the bot duo top, and with the help of Jankos and Herald, they get the first tower. Now let's see. So you can see now Jankos is walking, and they have Shadow in the bot lane, but instead Seth now walks back because he knows that Sejuani is walking towards there, and maybe even Atrox here. So they just keep all these players there, and they are doing like what they do here is a good Rift Herald call, which is send the tower to 2 plates and then put the Rift Herald there, and then they destroy the tower because it deals true damage. Now here, what happens during all this trade is that Mad Lions are trying to give solo gold to Kazi in the bot lane, and they're sending 4 people in the mid lane, while G2 has 2 people in the mid lane to defend the tower. And so now Meta think that they have number advantage and they're trying to dive, but it's really hard to dive a Sylas and an Aatrox, and here Shadow botches his ultimate, so they're gonna still keep trying to dive this, but now it does not have any ult. So you can see now Caps is taking first tower, and Jankos and Nautilus are going back in the mid lane and swapping with him, while Caps stays in the top lane and goes for the second tower with the Rift Herald. So now they try the dive, but as you know, Shadow does not have his ult, he does not have his R, his Dragon Kick, and so the dive here, they use 2 flashes, and Jankos is here to punish, so they can get 1 kill and another kill on Kai'Sa, just because they overstayed trying to punish the rotation by G2, but they get punished instead because they don't look at the minimap and understand how quickly Sejuani can come back and all this. So this is a really good play by G2, because this is unconventional. As I said, most teams go back to the bot lane. After this, you can see Dragon is coming in 15 seconds, and for sure, it's not even sure, like, and probably normal teams after they do this, they won't be back in time for the Dragon, but because they have 2 dead people on the mad side, they probably can't start it immediately because G2 have members already close there, and Caps will be there in 20-30 seconds. So it's not even a perfect Drake for Mad Lions to punish G2 for this play. And this way, at 11 minutes when this trade started, G2 was up 1.5k gold. Instead now they are 3k gold ahead. So in 2 minutes, 1 minute and a half, they doubled their gold advantage. With a comp that should not win early game. That's how good G2 rotation are, how good they are. So if you've seen now the first 30 minutes of the game, you may wonder, how did Mad win this game? Because it seems like they don't scale, and they're 3k behind, or 2k behind at 50 minutes. Like, it's a really bad position to be in. And we know that G2 mid game is the strongest part about the game. So how did Mad win this game? Because G2 ran it down. Like, that's the whole point of this thing, and the reason why this can be a frustrating game to watch in some ways, but really what in some ways you always expect from G2. So we are 15 minutes in, and let's look at the minimap. So Kazi is bot, Kai'Sa is walking up, but we see Perks probably sees him, so they know what he's doing. You have Caps and Mickey in the mid lane that see set, and are gonna walk up now with the Sejuani that is walking up to. Wonder is here to match Humanoid, is 1 level up, and is probably more or less the same amount of gold, maybe slightly behind. But now Humanoid has a Luden Sacker, while Wonder has still no first item, so Humanoid is stronger here. And Wonder has got no magic resistance, I think it has 43 here if I'm not mistaken. So the problem is here that Wonder flashes on Humanoid because he thinks that Sejuani and Nautilus, like all this team is coming, but what it does not think about is that it does not know where Shadow is and dies. So now you think, okay, this is a bad play by G2. Of course, it's a bad play. They back up. They have 3 people here. I know they might have 2 people, but we can see all the teams all rotating. In 10 seconds, everyone will be here, and it will be a 5v4. G2 follow, which is interesting for sure. Now they use everything on Shadow, but not Mickey ult, and because Caps tried to stop Shadow and Humanoid from running from the other direction, he was not there, and is the only one of the 3 that deals damage, so Shadows manages to escape, and Orome tries to TP behind them to cut the escape route, and Perks stops him, but because he stops him, he's in a really bad spot, because all Mad team collapsed, and now he dies. And now Mickey, because he wanted to help Perks, dies too. And so now they just gave 1000 gold back to Mad Lions. Mad Lions now have control over top river. They can get Rift Herald. They probably can get top tower or siege for mid tower, and are now in control of the game. And the biggest problem is that of all these kills, 3 are on Humanoid, which is the only threat that Mad has, and the only way they can win this game, because what a LeBlanc has is big potential. So if the LeBlanc killed someone before a game, before a team fight, or even threatens to kill someone, the way G2 has to position themselves inside of the map is completely different, because they have to deploy to keep control of where LeBlanc is, so then they need to know her position, so they have to set up way more and more properly, and so yeah, this is a really bad play. So as I did in place before, what should have G2 done considering everything? Of course it should have started this play, but it could have, if he wanted really to start this play, he could have just waited for Sejuani and Nautilus to be in position to in fact do this, instead of flashing on him. And I know I'm talking a bit too much about the execution details maybe in this game, and not only about macro, but there are interesting things like Caps here walking all the way forward. I don't understand well this, because I don't think Shadow and Humanoid could have escaped that route anyway. So, and Perks was coming, so I think having 3 block him there on the bot side, under them, and even if they ran upper, they could have just sent Perks there and closed them with the 3 members. While I do think that maybe Humanoid could have run away, I think their Shadow could have not. Maybe not. But even now, like, here, you got Humanoid Flash, just go up. You probably can't kill Shadow, you have no damage, so just go up, don't fight this. Stop. And yeah, so they fucked themselves. Well, okay, so one thing here, just one thing, is that I think that here Perks could have saved himself. You can see he has set ult. So he could just flash ult Kaiser, because he has a vision on Kaiser with the set ult, and get out of play here. So there are still some execution problems by G2 here, which is interesting, because they're probably one of the best teams in the world right now, if not the best, because LPL is not playing and LCK looks kind of shaky. And so yeah, it's just G2 running it down, I think. So now this is what I would call here not even the beginning of the end, because I think the beginning of the end is the play before this, but this is the final downfall of G2 in this play here. It's when it ends. In this, I know I haven't shown the last 10 minutes because the last play finished maybe 9 minutes ago, but not a lot happened. Not game changing at least. Now Mad has control of the game, mostly thanks to LeBlanc. They have taken 1 dragon each, both teams, and Mad is equalizing now in towers. But G2 is still ahead, which is still good for them, of course. And G2 here, so let's talk about the game state and what both teams want to do here. G2 want a team fight. Here they have a really good team fight comp. Silas, not really sure about him, but all the other champions they have, they want to fight here. And if they can engage and full wombo combo with Atrox, Nautilus and the Misfortune before the Taric ults, they just destroyed the other team. They have complete control, but now they have to be scared of the LeBlanc. Mad instead, what they want to do is to pick someone off with LeBlanc and or engage and jump on the backline of G2 to kill Misfortune, which is most of G2 damage right now. And after killing her or starting a team fight, Seth can ult, bring havoc in mids of all the fight, bring everyone to him with his E, the ultra damage and everything he wants, and can be invincible thanks to Taric ult. So now I know what in general the team want to do. So what they do here. So I think that G2, they want to get priority mid. They want to take control of river or Baron river, so top river, and get deep vision in the enemy jungle, because they need to look out for humanoid. The deep wards don't only help check for the LeBlanc, but even let Aatrox, which now is in the bot lane, teleport and flank the enemy team, which is something they really need. Mad Lions, on the other hand, they want to catch someone off guard in this rotation. If they can, they want to contest the vision put by G2, and if they can get Set or LeBlanc behind the enemy lines, they want to flank on them and start a team fight on their own side, on their own terms, or pick someone off and then start a team fight 4v5. That's what they want to do and what they're preparing for. So what happens? So G2 here push mid lane and will move first into the river. And in the meanwhile, you can see Humanoid here. He's searching for a flank or something like that, a catch on G2, but they see him, so he cannot do anything. So he walks back here and everything, but they have vision inside that bush. So, but he probably does think that he is invisible, so he just walks forward and get hooked in. So this is good for G2, you can say, because of course they are 4v5 now. They killed the biggest threat that Mad had. But this is the other side of the coin. As I said, G2 really need to fight on their terms, because if the Misfortune does not ult and is in the middle of everyone else, Orome can just take her, grab her and punch her to death, because she does not deal enough damage, she does not have any escape. And so here they fight and they lose a lot, because Taric has a great ult and they had the engage thanks to the Kalista ult, and Mad destroy G2 here. They completely destroy them. And what seems strange is that not only they get destroyed, but this is not completely because Mad want to engage here. Of course they want, but you can see here Perks just jumps on Rome and gets ulted in the team fight. So, well, I think that they could have flashed away and maybe try to disengage, blow all flashes and try to escape here. So Mad kill 4 of the 5 G2 members and get Baron, getting a full control of the game and pose to upset G2, and all this in a 4v5. And what I really like about this play is not the execution of the fight itself. Well, I talked a lot about execution in the last clips. What I want to focus here is not the execution of the fight, but the fact that a rookie team is now engaging in a 4v5 against G2, the 2 times LEC winners and the Worlds finalists, so it's a lot of pressure, of course. And they're engaging on them because they understand that even though it's a 4v5, they have the upper hand thanks to the engage they can do here. And it's something special in some way. I think it's really interesting. It's really beautiful because I really commend the synergy, the trust they have, all these players have between all of them, and the coaching staff must have done a really good job here. Because normally 4 rookies don't have the balls to punish something that most would even see as a disadvantage. Human was just taken out and all of that, but the fact that they are playing against G2, as I said, it takes a lot of courage. Like, even though it may seem like that's not something so praiseworthy, most rookie teams, hell, most teams even, would for sure disengage there and slowly lose the game. On the other side, G2 for sure didn't have to fight there. I think they could have, as I said before, flashed out and disengaged as hard as they could. And I hope to God they could prepare another team fight. They would not die there and prepare for a team fight on their terms. So that's what they wanted to do. So, and that's for sure one of the biggest negatives that G2 has, and that they are overzealous and they take fight they have no business winning, just thinking they can outplay and get away with it. And that's on the other side why I think that this spring season LEC is so much better than maybe all of last year. It's because there are a lot of teams that can beat G2, and not only when G2 run it down. Of course here G2 ran it down, but G2 could have still won this if Mad wasn't so proactive in this game. So mad props to Alliance, no joke intended, and I'm really happy to see these things. It's closing time. Mad with a Baron got all inhibitors. I don't want to make this video too long, so I cut that. I really think if you want to learn more about how to use Baron, it's very well played here by Mad Lions. There are some teams that cannot use Baron very well, like generally instead of 1-3-1 you 4-1 because you want control of 2 lanes. You synchronize the waves to pressure both places, and yeah, it's very well played here by Mad Lions. They get 3 inhibitors, they reset, and they come here to end the game. Now they have 3 waves pushing in, they got 1 Nexus tower, and they just want to finish the game. G2 need to find a miracle teamfight to resist, but have all 3 waves pushing in, are 7k behind. Remember, just 15 minutes ago they were 3k ahead. So all Mad has to do is poke them with LeBlanc, make them step back and choke them with the minions, because remember, having this many minions is almost like having 3 more champions inside of your team fight, because while you fight, maybe there are the minions attacking the Nexus tower. Like, there are a lot of ways you can play this, but in general you just wait for the waves coming inside of the base, and so G2 has to kill the waves. But if you then try to poke them, make them go back to the fountain, or maybe even team fight, while you team fight, whether you win or lose, normally you win because you're 7k ahead, and the minions probably just destroy the Nexus tower and are attacking the Nexus, so you probably win anyway. So they don't need to fight, or in general they don't need to fight right now because they're waiting for the waves, and they don't want to fight that much, because if G2 win the fight they may come back. Of course it's really hard, but what you have to think in this situation is not only how do I win, but how does the enemy team win, and how do I cut every possibility that the enemy team wins. So here they don't need to fight, and they should not search for a fight, but it's completely fine. The wait here, you can see that the wait for 3, the minion waves are coming in, and they see an error because Mickey tries to fight, because of course G2 want to fight here, they want to fight on their terms, but he misses his Q and he walks forward to try to search for a note attack, but takes a lot of damage, and now Mad can just jump in and kill all of them and punish for their mistakes and finish the game, which is, as I said, this is a really nice team fight, and all the minions here just are destroying the tower while they are fighting. So either way, whether they won the fight, even if it lasted more, they would have won this. So this game in some ways similar to the Fnatic versus Med one that I talked about before, as it shows both the good and bad side of both teams. Mad Lions show great trust in their teammates and coordination, knowing when to fight and executing on it, but on the other side still fuck up the execution of some plays, especially in the early game, and they can get punished there. G2 on the other side clean up the early game a lot from last week and the first week in particular. I think they were the worst weeks they had in the early game, but they still get overly zealous in the mid game and make some horrible mistakes for which they get really punished, and they should be punished, because if they don't get punished they don't get better. So I think this is for the better for G2. I think losing some games is great because we don't have the same thing that happened at the World Championship last year, where they arrived there being way better than all of the competition here in Europe, and so but they were not the best team in the world. So when they arrived there, they understood that they were behind a lot of other teams and they had to work their ass off just to get closer. Well, I think that if they're challenged in Europe, because Europe is getting better, they will be better in general internationally. So all in all, interesting game to watch for sure, and this upset wins make the top end of Europe the most interesting it has been in a while. So because there are 7 good teams all fighting for the playoffs, with a margin of only 2 games between all of them, the lower being Excel with 5-5, and the top are Misfits, Orion, Fnatic and G2 at 7-3. So thanks for watching, I hope you have enjoyed this day, and I'll see you in the next video.